Hi everyone, my name's PK, and here I have Rocky Rana, who's a client of the Profit Investment Accelerator. He's also works in data and analytics at CBA. And in this episode, we'll take, everyone through how he's bought basically $2 million worth of property in under 6 months. It's not just for himself, he's also helped his family and friends. So we'll go through his deals, how he selected them, how he used the data, how he bought interstate, and how he's so I suppose excited and like enthused by the real estate journey that is actually thinking of taking it on full time. So yeah, thank you for reaching out to me, Rocky. I know we've already been talking, and yeah, I'm excited to do this episode.
Yeah, thank you, PK. And happy to share my journey with you. But before that, just a gratitude and a thank you as well. The detailed course has actually empowered me to take steps, not just learn. And the learning I always had, but the execution was a problem. So that confidence is what I have earned through the journey, and happy to share with a community about what I have achieved and how I have achieved. So I'll be sharing my recent deal, which I have done in Townsville, and I settled on a property in the month of March. It is positively geared as we speak, and has a good yield around. I'll quickly walk you through how it looks like. Pretty neat and clean. I had the building and pest inspection done in there. The building and pest inspector wrote slightly risk in the building and pest report, wherein he explained me later on that it is not only about your property; it is about Townsville in all of it. That there could be a termite issue, but then over the phone when I spoke to him, he gave me a confidence that it is all good to go. So this property is now rented, and it is giving me a rent of 530 a week, which if you do a gross yield is about 6.53. In my case, I have uh, used my equity, and I have used the rest of the 88% as home loan. This is pretty much neck to neck for me, not really giving me any profits. But if I was keeping 20% out of my pocket, this will actually give me a profit every week in the pocket. I was actually looking through my own research, but my problem was that research was taking me to the hotter pockets. Now those hotter pockets, it was getting really hard for me to find a property because there was so much of competition. Now in the month of January, PK, you did a snap of properties from 400 to 500, and you picked up a few names, and those names, not all of them were showing in the top ones. So what I did is I jotted down all of those names, and actually looked into the data, and I found this particular suburb to be going that way, which means this is not yet that hot, but it is getting hot.
Yeah.
Now, also keeping in mind the ripple effect. Now, all the other suburbs around this one were already showing up in the data, and there is no reason for this particular suburb not getting that hot, because if you look at the Townsville as an whole of area, uh, and if we divide it in three parts, like say premium, medium, and lower socio, this one is a medium one. Now, keeping that faith of that ripple effect will play here, I took the leap of faith, and I started investigating more into this particular suburb. Then spoke to a lot of property managers to understand which pockets are which where I have to stay away from the housing commissions, flood, and a bushfire. Bushfire was not much of an issue in this area, but Townsville, you have got flood issues everywhere, almost everywhere. So although there were about 5 6 properties available in my budget in a suburb at that point of time, but then out of 5, 3 were already into a flood zone wherein I did not want to put my hands in, because I'm still an immature investor. So again, using the system, I did my own investigation, called the council, understood how these dark blue marks about the flood, um, like what they mean and how they impact me. They gave me this information that this is the rarest of the case that you get floods in this particular property which you're looking at, and in that particular property, not whole of it, but just a dot part of it was getting into the flood zone. So I was okay with that, and then I looked into a community posts as well to understand how much flood is okay. So that gave me confidence that this is acceptable. Now, my next thing was to call the insurance company to understand how it is going to work in real economics for me. I gave them a call, and Townsville overall is pretty expensive on insurance per se. This particular property was okay, acceptable, and the numbers were going really well. Now, Townsville insurances can go as high as 5K, 6K, or up to 8K as well. In this particular case, I was able to get 2100 insurance, which was a
Pretty
pretty
good.
good one. And then the rates were about 4K. But when I was stacking up all of the numbers and with the confidence of the appraisal, I was advised that this property is going to give me a rental of about 480 to 500. When I was doing the numbers with the upper end, I was okay because it was about 5.9 yield. But then I moved ahead. I took over the property, and when it actually got rented, the rent now is 530 a week, which was
Yeah.
absolutely wow. So since I have entered into this market, I have been keeping an eye. The 422 of quite similar nature, they are being sold for about 445, 450K. So this gives me a confidence that the deal which I did at that point of time was pretty nice. Now, working for the bank, I had access uh, to to actually understand the market value of this property. So when I bought this property for 422K in the system, it was showing 438. Now, there is already an inbuilt equity, but I am keeping my fingers crossed that in next 3, 4 months, the number should go higher up than what it is right now. So this is about this particular deal,
Yeah.
which I have done for myself.
I mean, it's amazing. It's fantastic. One thing I just want to say as well, just to educate everyone alongside the points that you've made, is some people say that you shouldn't buy in Townsville because the insurance rates are higher, just like you've alluded to before. And, I always say, well, it's not every property that's implicated with such high insurance premiums, like yours as an example, where the insurance isn't out of hand. But there's many other people say, well, it still creates a stigma around Townsville that despite not everything incurring high insurance costs, that still means that people are reticent of investing there because it's kind of like it's got this contagion effect of investors not being attracted to it. But I love it how you've just presented all that because you've shown that not only in your properties insurance not that huge, but also the prices are actually already growing. And this is not even a suburb that's super, super, super hot yet. Okay, if you look at the areas around it, you mentioned the ripple effect. There's actually areas in Townsville around this area that have gone up already 50, $100,000. And that's not off a base of 1 million. That's off a base of like, 300, 350. So that's an immense capital growth on a percentage basis. And so I just don't think that this argument that, oh, hey, Townsville floods, insurances are high, means that you should not invest in Townsville. There's always markets within markets. And it's always nice to get well, your yield is over 6% now, so it's not really costing you anything to hold on an 80% LVR basis. So that's fantastic. Just before you go on, I actually just wanted to ask out of my own curiosity, you work in the data analytics area in CBA home lending. You also look after the sort of complaints side of things at CBA. Did you find that working in that area kind of gave you a head start or maybe like an unfair advantage in your own property investing compared to had you not worked there? Of course, you just mentioned before that you looked at the valuation. You could have used my valuation tool as well, but I'm just genuinely curious. Do you think you made it easier because you were working at the bank?
Not really, PK, because what I have done, anybody could have done, not even working at the bank. All you have to do is just give them a call, and irrespective of you are working at the bank or not, the bank anyways does their own valuation when they are going to put 80% or 88% in my case in the property. Just that working in the bank gave me slightly more information, which normally you would not get. But coming main to the point, if you are not working with a bank and does not have lending knowledge, you can still go ahead, because when you walk through the course, how the lending works is already taught. How the valuation to be done, how the CMA is used, which is comparative market analysis. So you would do it on your own instead of looking at core logic or relying 100% on them. So doing the way which is taught in the course, I think that is a brilliant way, rather than just relying on the data which is already given in front of you in the form of graph, and you are expected to believe that.
Yeah. No, very well said. You cannot, yeah, you can't just trust any random graph of core logic or anything. It's best to do it yourself. Before you go on to the next properties, just one last question. Was this your first investment property or did you already have some before?
Yeah, so technically, this is my first investment property.
Okay, okay, good.
I have done a couple of projects before in Adelaide, wherein I collaborated with a builder and my borrowing capacity was used. But
Mm.
those were done when I had no idea how to get into the market. Now I know it, so now I do it on my own.
Sure, sure. No, I just wanted to sort of paint a picture of your kind of level of experience because as you're talking, you're seeming it's very confident and it sounds like you're extremely experienced. So like it comes across very well is what I mean to say. So that's a credit to you.
Thank you. And if you want, I can walk you through one of the recent properties with whom I have helped. So, whom I have helped, they are my sister-in-law. They
Sure.
have recently migrated here for about 8 months. They have a baby. They have a good job. And I was motivating them, hey guys, you have been renting now. Why don't you just buy a house? Um, they were of mixed opinions. They wanted to live near to the beach where they cannot afford. I was kind of mentoring them, hey guys, that you should get into the market as soon as you can. So pretty much help them through the entire process of how they should be buying, where they should be buying, and what we should be looking in. Choose the property for them, negotiate it for them, and they got the bank approval today, so it is going to get settled in June 7th. And tonight we are going to have party because I have helped them. They are not going to pay me anything for that, but
Right.
of course I have helped them, so they are going to throw a party in next couple of hours.
Well, they definitely owe you one. That's for sure. I love it. I love it. Like I was saying before as well, before we hit record, it's really cool when people can learn a skill and it's a skill for life and then they can share it. They can pass it on, they can help others, whether it's in like a professional capacity or just being a nice guy like you were. I mean, you feel free to share the details of the suburb or the property, but I guess more importantly for everyone who's watching or listening, like what's the kind of any lessons learned in kind of doing it for another person? Because there's an added level of responsibility, right? Doing it for yourself, fine, it's your own money, your own mistakes, but doing it for another person, I guess there's a heightened level of responsibility. Did you find that was harder or easier, or just talk me through that?
Yeah, so now I have a good relationship with them. That is number one. And they have been seeing me since March last year, that I have been studying and I've been working at the bank. I have been investing, doing building projects as well. So they already had confidence on me. And then the way things dealt, I was navigating them that which suburbs have scope of growth because of school or whatever reasons, why they shouldn't go for a house and land package, why should not they go in the trap of a apartment or off plan and whatnot. So looking at my journey, they learned that this guy knows. And then of course I walked them through the journey and then got them this house, and they realized that the way it is negotiated, they have actually saved some money, this is upcoming place, and their money is pretty much secured, and they have got the entry into the market as a new migrant. That is what you want.
Yeah, yeah. That's so nice. And did they, I mean, they're buying to live, is that correct? Or as an
Yes,
investment property?
yes, yes.
Right. So buying to live. So, I mean, there's sort of other considerations when it comes to buying to live. Of course, there's the data aspect, and you want to buy sharply, negotiate well, do the valuation, etc., etc. But then there's, sort of a more emotional aspect to buying where to live. You want to live there, you want the schools around there to be conducive for your family and things like that. I always say that there's two circles when you're buying your principal place of residence. One is your emotional preferences, and one is where it actually makes sense to live. So it makes sense to invest so you can grow your equity. And where those two circles collide, they intersect, that's where you should buy. What were the factors that you really prioritized when buying for others like you have? And perhaps which data factors, suburb factors, properties factors did you compromise when you bought for them?
Yeah. So one main factor what I knew about them, which they might not know, or they are not in the realization mode right now. As of now, they have got an 8-month-old baby. Now, for them, childcare should be important, future schooling should be important, and that's how everybody looks at it. But they are pretty new, fairly new. So all they were attracted towards is a big lot, even if it is a very old house in a place like Caroline Springs, for example. Now in Melbourne, Caroline Springs is beautiful, established, pretty nice. But then in that budget, you don't get anything. So they were compromising, and they were like, "Hey, Rocky, we can go for 311, and but we want bigger land," and they were kind of getting lost somewhere. Now with that much of budget wherein you're planning to buy a property for about 750K, going into Caroline Springs market, buying something which is very, very old, and the property is already matured, right? So chances are very, very less that it will skyrocket anyways. So I did not want them to get hang up to be just the emotional buyer just because you want to be in that particular area. In fact, I spent some time with them on the road and showed them from the school perspective mainly that this is a suburb which could be really great for you. There is a suburb called Aintree. It is a new one. And there is a Backish Marsh Grammar School, which is highly popular as well. So getting into that area would make more sense because there will be growth of property as well, because school and a community uh, putting together is pulling up prices like anything. So definitely gave them insights of yes, you are buying a house to live, but then on the other hand, can you look at a perspective that you can have capital gains in future as well? So this is the place where you want to. And I also explained them that in Australia, your first house is never your last house.
Yeah.
So so quite likely you would be staying here for a couple of years, and then when you have got extra cash, you don't get any huge returns here. So you would end up buying another house anyways. So get into the market, look at the capital gains.
Yes.
I kind of can vouch on this particular suburb that in next year or two, you will have good equity, and then we can get the ball rolling for your investment properties as well. So showing them where they stand right now and where they can go, I navigated them.
Amazing. There's such good advice because yeah, you should treat your principal place of residence if you want to get ahead in life as an investment, because at some point it will become an investment property. That's brilliant. And maybe just to cap off, for everyone who's watching, maybe there are, thousands of people in your shoes 6 months ago when you hadn't bought any investment properties, you hadn't helped anyone either because of a lack of experience. Fast forward now 6 months, you've done almost 2 million or $2 million of transactions for yourself and of course your family as well. What's kind of like, I don't know, the top one or two pieces of advice that could really be a game changer to someone who doesn't know all this? And I'm not just saying I'll do the course or anything like that, but just like more specifically, what's like a couple of gold nuggets where had you known about it, you would have been so much further ahead, or you might have got to the same destination faster?
Yeah. So I think property market is one place here in Australia wherein you can sit back and relax. And if you have done smart investments, the money is working 24/7 for you. So having that basic knowledge, I think this is necessary if you are somebody who is wanting to get retirement ready, if you are somebody who genuinely care about your time, if you are somebody who just doesn't want to grind all of your life in 9 to 5, this is basic literacy and one should know about it. And when I'm talking about property, is one is yes, how the investment works, how you can with knowledge how you can avoid getting into traps of house and land package and apartment and off the plans, because once you get into that, you are in the soup already. There are many examples. Somebody has bought 10 years ago an apartment in South Bank in Melbourne CBD, and it is the same price or less price. So what have they earned? Nothing. So this basic literacy, along with some financial literacy, if you can get basics like how the interest rates are working, what is equity, and how does the offset works, redraw works, and why you should go for an offset, maybe not a redraw. So basic knowledge, if you know, I think you can excel very well here in Australia.
Yeah. It's so true. And a lot of things are like counterintuitive. Like when you start looking at property, you start seeing like ads and brochures and salespeople presenting like display homes with guaranteed rental returns and apartments that are in the CBD. Of course, they're going to do well, but it seems counterintuitive, but none of those things are actually good. And the same thing with more economic understandings of Australia. Like people think interest rates go up, property prices go down. Like if you study history, and I've done, of course, many videos on this, that's actually not really the case. In most instances, interest rates have negligible impact on property prices. In fact, in most times, they've traveled at the same direction, which is actually what we're seeing right now as we're recording in May 2023. Interest rates have just gone up again, and basically all the markets around Australia, property prices are rising. So when you're new to property, like this stuff is like uncommon sense. You don't really know about it, and it might prevent you from actually getting ahead. And I always think, of course, financial freedom is a long-term goal. For some people, it seems so far away that is even worth pursuing. But one step in the right direction is better than 10 steps in the wrong direction. So don't just try to take a shortcut and just like digest or swallow what some other person is trying to give you, because they might have an innuendo, they might have an agenda. Like you said, Rocky, actually learn it for yourself. I think there's no replacement for true knowledge and understanding. But we might wrap it up there. I mean, I just want to say that when I got your email, it was like, I put a lot of effort and hard work into the mentoring, whether it's the Tuesday evening calls or the community forum or the one-on-one emails. So I really appreciate you making the effort to email me and letting me know how you've not just got a good result for yourself, but for your family as well. Like that's actually a really cool thing. And hopefully people who do watch or listen to this, I don't know, maybe if you message Rocky, he can help you too. I don't know if he'll be doing it for free,
Sure.
but it's worth at least getting in touch and getting some advice from Rocky nonetheless. But anything lastly that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, all good, PK. I think the free education what you are providing on your podcast and whatnot, even if somebody is not even wanting to spend the money on the course, You are doing generosity, and thank you for that. You're definitely helping our communities. And I started off with a course in May 2022. Before getting into the course as well, I had learned a lot. So thank you for actually bringing up topics, and the topics and knowledge which you bring are against the flow of water, which means there are a lot of people who don't believe. There could be people who would mock as well, but then if you want to know or gain the knowledge, this is how it works, and it is something which you can implement and have fruits of that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think not much has ever been achieved in life from most people around the world in history if you've just gone with the flow. You have to sort of swim against the current a little bit to do something a bit different. And the great thing with obviously our industry is it's all data orientated. You can prove everything. And that's really what instills confidence. But thank you so much, Rocky, for your kind words. And of course, a big congratulations to what you've achieved. And everyone, I just want to say as well, like the course, you may or may not want to do it, but at least take the time to hear and listen to stories from real people, just like Rocky, because they'll serve to educate you and inspire you. There's more than 100 client interviews on my playlist, client results on YouTube. And if you just go through them, like you'll actually, I don't know, it's like when you see it being done in front of you, it kind of gives you that additional vigor and confidence that, yeah, like maybe I can do it too, regardless of your starting position. So hopefully this serves to inspire you, and hit the subscribe button. Thank you again, Rocky.
My pleasure, PK.